Okay, so we can start with 3 bows to the Buddha. 1, 2, 3. And then we do the salutation. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Okay, maybe Margot, would you like to be the responder today?
Yes, I would be happy to be. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, so now we are in section 238. Before we go further, I'll just review that paragraph with which we finished last week. Okay, so the situation here is the Buddha is speaking about certain what he calls foolish people who learn the Dhamma, different aspects of the Dhamma, but they don't examine or investigate with wisdom. Atang could be either the meaning or the purpose of those Dhammas, of those teachings. And so for them, that is, those foolish ones, I see I reproduced it. For those foolish ones who are not examining the meaning of those, the meaning with wisdom, those teachings, and this is a difficult construction in Pali to translate literally, those teachings do not please or do not agree with their meditation or their reflection. You can see the word nijana is related to it's based on the same root as the word jhana, which comes to mean meditative absorption. And it has the prefix nir, which turns into a J through assimilation. But here it's not referring to like a meditative absorption, but just a sort of contemplation or deep reflection on the Dhamma. But in this case, because they're not examining the Dhamma with wisdom, so these teachings are not agreeable to their contemplation, their reflective meditation. But instead, these foolish people, they learn the Dhamma for the benefit of uparamba, is like blame or criticism for criticizing others, and for the benefit itivada pamokani sangsa, for the benefit of freeing their own position, their own tenets or their own opinions in debates. I think many of us know people like that. And so again, this is another tricky sentence. Yasa chataya dhaman pariyapunanti tanchasa atangnanu bhakti. I have to translate it in natural English rather than trying to parse it too precisely. So the purpose for the sake of which they learn the Dhamma, they, that is, these foolish people, do not experience, that's na anubhakti, they don't experience the purpose of this. They don't experience that purpose of this, the purpose for which one properly learns the Dhamma. They don't enjoy or experience that purpose. But atang could also mean goal or benefit. So they don't experience the benefit for which one learns the Dhamma, or the goal for which one learns the Dhamma. And so for them, those Dhammas, that is the teachings they've learned, digahita, they're wrongly grasped, badly grasped. And so they lead the sangvatanti to harm and to suffering, digaratan, for a long time. And then what is the reason for this? And the reason is dugahita ta, because of the wrong grasp of those dhammas, of those teachings. Oops. So that is the sort of, this is the point the Buddha is making. Now he's going to illustrate this with the simile of catching a snake. I guess this is a kind of water snake. At least I've seen it translated that way. I just want to see if the commentary gives it synonym for alagadda. Because I don't think I've seen that word anyplace else but here. Oh, for alagadda, it gives asi visa. Yeah, asi is a snake and visa is poison. So the alagadda is a poisonous snake. Okay, so let's read now. Let's get into the text. Sayatapi bhikkhave
Sayatapi bhikkhave
puriso alagaddatiko
puriso alagadatiko
alagadda gavesi
alagada gavesi
alagadda pariyesanam charamano.
alagada pariyesanam charamano.
Yeah, so Sayatapi introduces a simile, like suppose. So suppose there's a man, and then we have a number of compounds, almost synonymous, or very similar in meaning. So we have alagadda plus attigo. Now this is another nuance of the word atta. We have good, benefit, goal, purpose. Another meaning would be need. Actually, that's related to purpose. So, and then from atta, we get the adjective attika, one who needs, one who has a purpose with something. In this case, the man has the need for this poisonous snake. Yeah, I think there's a belief in the Ayurvedic, ancient Indian, Sri Lankan medical system called Ayurveda, that the way to create an antidote to the poison, snake poison, is to use a little bit of snake poison to create the antidote. So for that reason, this man might be seeking this poisonous snake. So he has a need for the snake. Then alagadda gavesi. The word gavesi means one who is seeking. So one who is seeking, he is seeking a poisonous snake. And then alagadda pariyesanam charamano. So charamano means walking or wandering. And pariyesana means a search or a quest. And so in this case, he's walking or wandering in a search for a poisonous snake. So suppose there is a man who has need for a poisonous snake, who is seeking a poisonous snake, and who is walking in search of a poisonous snake. And then so paseya mahantam alagaddam.
So paseya mahantam alagaddam.
And so he would see a large snake, poisonous snake. And first, we're going to come to the wrong way of catching the snake. Tame nang bogeva nanguteva kanheya.
Tame nam boge va nangute va ganheya.
Okay, so ganheya is the optative of ganhati, to grab. So the man would grab tamenang. The two pronouns are both designating the snake. This is rather common in Pali, difficult to explain in English. We would just use one pronoun. It's like that, this. So, but we just use that. So he would grab it, that snake. Boge literally means the coil, but the commentary explains that that's sort of the base of the body, because the snake coils up. So he would grab it by the coil, that's the middle of the body, or nangute. Nangute would be the tail. And these would be, I guess, locative singular. So he would grab it on the coil or on the tail. Tassa so alagado.
Tassa so alagado.
Pati parivativa.
Pati parivatitva.
Hateva bahaiva anyatarasminva anga pachange.
Hatte va bahaya va anyatarasmin va anga pachange.
Dangse.
Danseya.
Okay, so what happens is that snake, pati parivatitva, so the base word here is vatati, which one of the senses is to occur, but then it has the prefix pari, which gives a sense of around, and pati gives a sense of going back. And so basically the sense is that the snake, having wrapped itself around tassa, his, that is the man's. Let me go back. So that snake, having wrapped itself around, I guess, the arm, then dangseya, we go to the verb. Dangseya means to bite. So the snake would bite him. The him is implicit, on his hand. So tassa is his, of the man, and hate is a locative, on the hand, or baha is a feminine noun, which means arm. So again, this would be the locative, on the arm, or anyatara means some other, or like a certain. Then anga pachanga is some limb, some other limb or part of the body. So that snake, having wrapped itself around, I guess, the man's arm, would bite him on his hand or the arm or on some other limb or part of the body. Okay, so any questions at this point? Okay, so, yeah.
I have a question. So
Oh.
the word here, anyatarasmin, is referred to the other part of the body or refer to other persons?
No. The anyatara is going to anga pachanga.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, they're both locative singular. Okay, so then we go the consequence of this now. Okay, so tato nidanam
So tato nidanam,
maranam va nigacheya.
maranam va nigacheya,
Marana matang va dukkam.
marana matam va dukkam.
Yeah, so this compound tato nidanam is used to mean like because of that, on account of that. It's from tato, which means from that, and nidana means like because. So because of that, he, that is the man, would nigacheya, would undergo either death or marana matang dukkha, or suffering, which literally which is of the measure of death. In English, we would say deadly suffering. So because of that, this man would undergo death or deadly suffering. And then the Buddha, he continues, Tankisa hetu. So what is the reason for that? Dukkha hitata bhikkhave alagadasa.
Duga, duga hit, duga hitata
Yeah.
bhikkhave alagadasa.
Yeah, with extending that last a, dukkha hitata,
Duga hitata,
yeah, alagadasa. Okay, so what is, actually we had dukkha hitata earlier. So this is, in terms of case, it's a ablative case, and it's based on it's a neuter noun, which is created by taking the past participle dukkha hita, wrongly grasped. Then we add this the suffix ta, which gives it that turns a past participle or an adjective into an abstract noun. So dukkha hitata means literally like the wrong graspedness. And then to make it ablative, we put the ablative case ending. So what is the reason for that? Because of the wrong grasp of the snake. Okay, then the rest just repeats the sentence or the paragraph that we already went through. So in the same, we'll just go through this quickly. So in the same way, some foolish people here learn the Dhamma and so on and so on. And then those Dhammas wrongly grasped by them lead for a long time to their harm and to their suffering. And what is the reason for that? Because of the wrong grasp of those Dhammas. Actually, here we come, 239, we come to the positive side or the approved side, the way in which the approach the Buddha approves of. And again, we don't have to read through the sentence by sentence. Everything pretty much is the same, except that in this case, these people, they're called Kulaputa, family sons. They learn the Dhamma with the right motivation. And so they investigate the meaning of the Dhamma with wisdom. Then those Dhammas turn out to be agreeable to their contemplation. And they don't learn the Dhamma for the benefit of criticizing others and for the benefit of freeing their own position from criticism, but the purpose for the sake of which they learn the Dhamma, they experience the benefit of that. And so for them, those Dhammas, now they're called Sukhahita, they're rightly grasped, rightly learned, lead for a long time to their welfare and to their happiness. And what is the reason for that? In this case, it's Sugahitata Bhikkhave Dhamman. Okay, so good. Okay, so what is the reason? Because of the good grasp or the right grasp of those Dhammas. Okay, now we could read again together. So first, let me ask, any questions on anything relating to the grammar so far? Okay, so let's take now the proper way to approach the water snake, the poison snake. Sayatapi Bhikkhave.
Sayatapi Bhikkhave.
Again, we have Puriso Alagadatiko Alagadagavesi.
Alagadatiko Alagadagavesi.
Alagada Pariyesanam Charamano.
Alagada Pariyesanam Charamano.
So again, we have this man who needs the snake, searching for a snake, wandering in search of a snake. And so Pasaya Mahantam Alagadam.
So Pasaya Mahantam Alagadam.
So this man too would see a large poisonous snake. But his way of handling it is different. Tame nang ajapadena dandena.
Tame nam ajapadena dandena.
Suniga hitang niganheya.
Suniga hitam niganheya.
Yeah, ajapadena dandena. So aja is a goat and pada is normally a footprint, but or a trace or a track. But here it's being used to describe danda. Danda is a stick. So literally it's a goat footprint stick, which itself it's an obscure expression. But let's see. I thought that I'd seen the explanation someplace in the commentary. But anyway, I think we have a pretty clear idea of what it is. It's would be a stick with a forked, sort of branching out. I don't know if I could, yeah, no, I don't have, do I have a way to draw? Yeah, something like this. Okay, so with this stick, is there a special name for a kind of stick like this?
A forked stick?
A forked stick, yeah, that's easy. Okay, so with this forked stick, and then we have here an expression in Pali that sounds a little odd if we translate very literally. He would something like suppress it, well suppressed. Like he would grab it. The sense is that he would get control over it. Sort of he would press it down so that the snake can't turn around and bite him. Let's see how we had this in the original translation. Yeah, this available in Yanamoli's translation just says he caught it rightly with a cleft stick. But literally this niga hitang, su niga hitang niganheya. he would suppress it, well suppressed, or he would completely control it by pressing it with this forked stick. Okay, and then Ajapadena Dandena Suniga Hitam Nigahitva.
Ajapadena Dandena Sunigahitam Nigahitva.
Okay, so having pressed it down and so that it can't move with the forked stick, then Givaya Sugahitam Ganheya.
Givaya Sugahitam Ganheya.
Yeah, the Giva is the neck. So he would grab it. Again, this is an odd expression in Pali. For sounds odd to our ears. He would grab it, well grabbed by the neck. But in normal English, we would say he would grab it properly by the neck, or he would grab it firmly by the neck. Okay, then continuing. Kinchapi so bikave alagado.
Kinchapi so bikave alagado.
Tassa purisasa hatang va baham va anyatarang va.
Alagado tassa purisasa hatam va baham va anyataram va.
Anga pachangam
Anga pachangam
bogehi paliveteya
bogehi paliveteya.
attako so neva tatoni danam marana. Okay. Attako so neva tatoni dan
Atako soneva tatoni danam.
maranang va nigacheya
Maranam va nigacheya.
marana matang va dukkha
Marana matam va dukam.
tamki sahitu
Tang kisahetu.
sugahit sugahita sugahitata bhikkhave alagadasa.
Sugahitata bikave alagadasa.
Trying to get rid of this. Okay. Okay, so kinchapi means although. So although that snake would, we jump down to the verb paliveteya. Paliveteya, this is the optative. The pali here is a kind of dialectic for this, the same as pari. And veteti is to wrap up. So pariveteya is to wrap around. So the snake would wrap around the man's hata is the hand, or the baha is the arm, or some other limb or part of the body. He would wrap around, say, the hand and arm with his coils. But because of that, that man would not undergo death or deadly suffering. Okay, so in the wrong case, where the man tries to catch the snake wrongly, so he catches it by the tail, and in that case, the water snake, actually, if I said that he wraps around, that's wrong. The snake turns around. Not that he wraps around, but he turns around. That's the pati parivatitva. He turns around, and then he would bite the man on the hand or the arm or some other limb. But in this case, where the man catches the snake in the correct way, the snake will wrap its coils around the hand or the arm or some other part of the body, but it's not able to, because it's being caught by the head, it's being caught on the neck, so it's not able to turn around and to bite the man. And so the man doesn't undergo death or deadly suffering. And the reason is because of the proper way of grasping the snake, because the snake has been correctly grasped. So any questions here?
Bante,
Yeah.
a snake has only one body, right? So when we use coils, we divide his body into several sections, and each section is considered as one coil.
I guess so. I guess so. If I remember, the commentary just glosses the word. Yeah, glosses boge with sarire, coil with the body. So probably they use the word boga, which means like a coil, because if you see the snake resting on the rock, it sort of coils up its body and then it sleeps.
So Bante, is it okay just to render boge into body?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, thank you.
Let me just see how Venerable Nyanamoli had it. Well, Venerable Nyanamoli used grasp its coils for its tail. You might as well use, to keep consistent with the Pali, you could use coils. But it would mean anything in the middle part of the body, from below the neck down to the tail. Okay, any other question? Okay, so then the next paragraph is just a repeat of the paragraph preceding the simile, so we don't have to go through that. Except at the very end, make this a new paragraph. Okay, so the reason why those teachings lead to the well-being and happiness of those who learn them properly is because of the right grasp of the teachings. And then the Buddha says, Tasma teha bhikkhave,
Tasma tiha bhikkhave,
yasame basi tassa atang ajaneyat.
yasa me vasitasa atam ajaneyata,
Tata nang dareyata.
tata nang darayata.
You might as well finish. And then yasa chapana me basi tassa
Yasa chappaname vasitasa,
atang na ajaneyata.
atam na ajaneyata,
Aham vo tata patipuji tabbo
aham vo tata patipuchitabo,
ye vapan asu viyata bhikkhu.
yeva vanasa vyata bhikkhu.
Okay, so this tasmatiha is from tasmat, meaning therefore. In Pali, we always have tasma, and then the tasmat is the Sanskritized form, or the Sanskrit form. But when tasma is followed by iha, which means here, that is in this matter, then the T that has been deleted in normal Pali sort of resurfaces as a bridge between the two vowels. So therefore, in regard to this matter, O monks, then of which, yasa is of which, and it goes with basi tassa, of which spoken by me, atang is meaning, then ajaneyata is you understand. And the subject, tum, would be tumhe, the pronoun tumhe. That is just understood. It's implied by the verb. So therefore, O monks, when you understand the meaning of anything spoken by me, tata, in just that way, dareyata, you should remember it, you should bear it in mind. You should retain that when you understand the meaning of it. But, and then here we have chapana, so more in the sense of however or but rather than and. So, but if you do not understand the meaning of something spoken by me, I, then pati puji tabo. What grammatical form is pati puji tabo?
Is
Anybody?
it a future passive participle?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's what's called the future passive participle, indicating something that should be done, must be done, can be done. In this case, what should be done. And it has the sense, of course, it's based on the verb puchati, which means to ask. And so when you're sort of questioning somebody over and over about something, it gets the prefix pati. So I should be, and then the subject here is ahang, I, referring to the Buddha. So I should be questioned. Then the vo is the short form of the pronoun, in this case, by you. And then tata, there, means about that. So I should be questioned by you about that. Or in normal English, we would invert the word order and say, you should question me about that. But the Buddha might be maybe not available, or the monks might be somewhat shy about going up to ask the Buddha, especially if you're a young, newly ordained monk. So instead, yeva panasu viyata bhikkhu. So here the alternative is those, and the pana is just the connective with asu. And asu is the optative, those who might be or would be viyata. The word viyata is like meaning capable, intelligent, experienced. How do we? Yeah, Venerable Nyanamoli used the bhikkhus who are wise. So I should be questioned by you about that. Or if you don't come to me, those who would be the capable or experienced monks, you should question them. So any questions here? Okay, then we just move on. Yeah, this is famous passage. Yeah, very famous. Almost every sort of introductory book on Buddhism will have this, a reference to this passage. So now we're in section 240. Kulupamang vo bhikkhave dhammang dese sami.
Kulupamam vo bhikkhave dhammam dese sami.
Nitaranataya no gahanataya.
Nitaranataya no Gahana Ataya.
Yeah. Gahanataya.
Gahanataya.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so here we have the word kula is a raft. And then upama is a simile. And upama itself has a short u, but because of the sandhi between the A and the U gets lengthened. And so kulupamang becomes a compound describing dhammang. So I teach the Dhamma to you, which is similar to a raft, or I teach you the Dhamma, which is similar to a raft. And how is the Dhamma similar to a raft? Nitaranataya, no gahanataya. So this ataya at the end indicates purpose, for the sake of, and nitarana, this is a form, it's sort of a prefix form of tarana. Tarana is the crossing over or crossing, and then it has the prefix near, which just maybe strengthens that sense. And then the R is assimilated to the T. And for some reason, I don't really know the reason, but phonetically, the T gets turned into an aspirated T. This happens to a number of words. I know another example that I came across recently. We have the verb charity, which means to wander, to walk, and then forms a causative, chariti, to cause to walk. But then there's a word nichareti based on that, which has the meaning of to utter, to pronounce something, to make a statement. Again, for some reason, the unaspirated ch turns into a ch. Okay, so the Dhamma is similar to a raft because it is for the purpose of crossing over, not for the purpose of gahana. Gahana is grasping, holding on. Actually, this should be a future, I'm sorry. They say Sami, I will teach you the Dhamma as being similar to a raft for the purpose of crossing over, not for the purpose of grasping, of holding. And then he says, listen to that, attend carefully, I will speak. Then the monks say, yes, Bhante, and then the Buddha says, Sayatapi bhikkhave,
Sayatapi bhikkhave.
puriso adana magga patipanno.
Puriso adana magga patipanno.
Okay, so Sayatapi, introducing a simile. And then we have a man who is patipanno. In this case, he's traveling on a adana magga, is like it's like a major road. He's traveling along, maybe today we would say a highway. In ancient India, probably a somewhat wide road that many people use for traveling. Okay, then so pasaya mahantang udaka, I'm sorry, so pasaya mahantang udakanavang.
So pasaya mahantam udaka navam.
Orimang tirang sa sankang sapati bayam.
Orimam tiram sasankam sapatibayam.
Parimang tirang kemang apatibayam.
Parimam tiram kemam apatibayam.
Nachasa nava santarani
Nachasa nava santarani.
uttara setuva
Uttara setuva
apara param gamanaya.
apara param gamanaya.
Okay, so the man is traveling along a highway, and then he would see a large udaka is water, and anavang is like a mass of water, like a flood. So he would see a great flood of water. Then Orimang Tirang, that is the near shore, the shore on which he's standing, is Sa Sankang. So Asankang is like danger. It's with the prefix sa, with. With danger, and Patibayang also danger. Yeah, so Patibayang is also danger. It also has the sa, and then the p is just duplicated. Yeah, so this translation has dangerous and fearful. Okay, that's okay. So it's with danger, with fear, with fearfulness. So that is Orimang Tirang, the near shore. Then Parimang Tirang, this is the shore beyond, the far shore. The shore on the other side of this mass of water is Kemang, it's secure or safe, and Upatibaya, without any danger or fearfulness. But there would not be, I think the asa is the optative verb, would be, so there would not be. Nava is a boat. Yeah, I think Nava goes with Santarini, with the meaning of a ferry boat. You could see Santarini, the word Santarini is also from the verb tarati, or the noun tarana, crossing over. So with the prefix sun. So this is a boat for crossing. I guess it plies back and forth between the two banks like a ferry boat. So there would not be this ferry boat or a overbridge, a bridge going over the body of water. For going apara, that is from the near shore, param, to the beyond, for going from this side to that side. Okay, so any questions on this portion? Okay, so then we continue. Tassa evam asa.
Tassa eva masa.
So it would occur to him thus. And then in his thought, he just thinks everything that's just been said. So he thinks this is a great flood of water. The near shore is dangerous and fearful. The far shore is safe and free from danger, from fear, but there is no ferry boat or overpass, overbridge for going from this shore to the other shore. So now he thinks, Yanu Naham,
Yamnu Naham,
Tina Kata Saka Palasam Sankaditva,
Tina Kata Saka Palasam Samkaditva,
Kulang Banditva,
Kulam Banditva,
Tankulang Nisaya,
Tam Kulam Nisaya,
Hatehicha Padehicha,
Hate Cha Padehi Cha,
Vayamamano,
Vayamamano,
Sotina Parang Utareyanti.
Sotina Param Utareyanti.
Okay, so now the man is still thinking. So he thinks Yanu Naham. So this is Yang Nuna plus Aham. So he's thinking, and that's used to indicate when somebody is thinking about making a decision to do something. So he's thinking, let me now. And what he's going to do is Tina Kata Saka Palasang Sankaditva. So Sankaditi means to collect, to gather. And sang gives a sense of together. So having collected together, Tina literally is grass, or often it's grass, but it's more like reeds. It's stronger than just the green grass, but reeds, and kata will be sticks, and saka will be branches. Palasa is the foliage of the trees. So having collected together the reeds and sticks and branches and foliage, then kulang banditva. Banditva is just like the English word bind. So having bound them into a raft, then tangkulang nisaya, having relied upon that raft, then he doesn't have oars. So with hands and with feet, via mamano, making an effort, striving with hands and with feet, sotina. This is probably originally an instrumental, but it functions like an adverb, safely. Parang, the other shore, utareyan, get across. In this case, I would get across. So he's thinking, let me now, having gathered the reeds, sticks, branches, and foliage, having bound all of them into a raft, and then relying on that raft, striving with hands and feet, I should get safely across to the other shore. Okay, the next sentence just describes the man who's doing all of that. So we don't have to go through it again. He does everything, and sotina parang utareya. So he would get across safely to the other shore. Okay, then we continue from here. Tassa purisasa utinasa.
Tassa Purisasa Utinasa
Parangatasa evam asa. Hello?
Sorry, there's a phone ringing here.
Okay. Can you continue?
Okay.
Okay.
Tassa Purisasa Utinasa Parangatasa Evam Asa.
Okay. So when that man, the way it's phrased literally in the Pali, is using that kind of passive construction in which the active subject is put in a passive role. So to that man, when he has gotten across, when he has gone to the far shore, it would occur thus, or he would think thus. Bahukaro ko me ayam kulo.
Bahukaro ko me ayam kulo.
So bahukaro means helpful. So he thinks this raft has been helpful to me. Imahang kulang nisaya
Imaham kulam nisaya.
hatehicha padehicha vayamamano.
Hatei cha padehi cha vayamamano.
Sotina param utino.
Sotina param utino.
So imahang, this is just a sandhi of imang plus ahang. And the imang goes with kulang, the raft. And so nisaya is, actually nisaya is originally an absolutive, but it's used almost adverbially in the sense of relying upon or depending upon. Even in modern singular, we use this. Enisa. So because of this, mata gamang yanta oni. I have to go to the village. Okay, so depending upon this raft, striving with hands and with feet, I have gotten across safely to the far shore, to the beyond. Again, he uses yanu naham,
Yanunaham.
imang kulang siseva aropetva,
Imam kulam siseva aropetva.
kandeva ucharetva,
Kandeva ucharetva.
yena, I think, yena kamang pakameyanti.
Yena kamam paka meyanti.
So he thinks, let me now. Then aropetva is having put up something. So having put up this raft on my head, we say mounted, having mounted this raft on my head, or having lifted it onto the shoulder. Yena kamang. This is actually, I think it should be like a compound. Where, in which way I desire, pakameya, I should depart. So he's thinking, now because that raft has been very helpful to me, let me mount this raft on my head, or having carried it on my shoulder or the back, let me now take off in whatever direction I want. So that is what the man is thinking. So any questions here? Okay, so then the Buddha says to the monks, Tangking manyata bhikkhave,
Tang kim manyata bhikkhave.
apinu so puriso,
Apinu so puriso.
evankari,
Evam kari.
tasmin kule kichakari asa.
Tasmim kule kichakari asa.
So the Buddha says, what do you think, O monks? Would that man, evankari, doing thus, acting thus, would he be a kichakari? That's literally a doer of the task in regard to that raft. Or in normal English, we would say, would that man be acting properly? Would that man acting in such a way be acting in the proper way in regard to that raft? And then the monks say, surely not, Bhante. And then the Buddha asks, he says, Katankari chaso bhikkhave puriso,
Katam kare cha so bhikkhave puriso.
tasmin kule kichakari asa.
Tasmim kule kichakari asa.
So this is a doer of how, literally a how doer, or in English we would say doing what would that man be a doer of the task in regard to that raft, or normal English, what would that man do if he were to be acting correctly or properly with regard to that raft? And then the Buddha gives the answer himself. He says, Ida bhikkhave,
Ida bhikkhave,
tassa purisassa utinassa parangatassa evam asa.
tassa purisassa uttinassa parangatassa evam asa.
Yeah, so for that man, when he has gotten across, when he has gone to the far shore, he would think thus. Yeah, this is all repetitive. So he thinks this raft has been helpful to me in that relying on this raft, striving with hands and feet, I have gone across safely to the far shore. Then he thinks, Yanu naham imang kulang.
Yam nunanam naham imam kulam.
Tale va usadetva.
Tale va usadetva.
Urake va opilapetva.
Udake va upilapetva.
Yena kamam pakameyanti.
Yena kamam pakameyanti.
Might as well finish. Evankari koso bhikkhave puriso.
Evam kari koso bhikkhave puriso.
Tasmin kule kichakari asa.
Tasmim kule kichakari asa.
Okay, so now the man thinks, let me now, that's the Yanu Naham, Taleva usadetva. So it would be, usadetva would be having lifted up this raft onto the tale, would be the shore or the dry land, onto the land. Or udake opilapetva, having caused it to float on the water, just having let the stream of the river or whatever carry it away on the water. And then yena kamang pakameyan, then I will set off in whatever direction I want. Let me just see. Yeah, so Nyanamoli had, suppose I were to haul the raft onto the dry land or set it adrift in the water and then go wherever I want. So acting thus, that man would be one who does the task in regard to that raft. In other words, he would be acting properly in regard to that raft. And then the Buddha draws who completes the simile, and he says, Evam eva ko bhikkhave.
Evam eva ko bhikkhave.
Kulupamo maya dhammo desito.
Kulupamo maya dhammo desito.
Nitaranataya no Gahanataya.
Nitaranataya no kahanataya.
Gahanataya.
Gahanataya.
Yeah, so he says, in the same way, O monks, the Dhamma has been taught by me as similar to a raft, or by the simile of the raft. It is for the purpose of crossing over, not for the purpose of grasping. And then he continues, Kulupamang vo bhikkhave,
Kulupamam vo bhikkhave.
dhammang desitam.
Dhammam desitam.
Go to comment here. Ajanantehi
Ajanantehi.
Dhammapi vo pahataba
Dhammapi vo pahataba.
Pageva adhamma.
Pageva ad-dhamma.
Okay, so we have the vo here. Apparently, of course it's the short pronoun, the internal pronoun, and we could see it's being connected with ajanantehi. What grammatical form? Ajanantehi.
Instrumental of present participle plural.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, so it's the present participle, instrumental plural, meaning by those who understand, by those understanding, and it's you, because of the vo, by you understanding the Dhamma taught as similar to a raft, even Dhammas should be abandoned by you. How much more then, or not to speak of, a Dhamma, what are things that are not Dhamma? So this has become like a very, let's see, an open statement interpreted in various ways. And so one way to understand it is that you don't really abandon the good things, but you abandon the attachment to the Dhammas, to the good things. Even much more do you abandon the attachment to bad things. But let's say you abandon the bad things, adhamma, completely, and you continue to follow things that are dhamma, the wholesome things, but without attachment to them. Or taking the Dhamma here to represent the teachings, you abandon, or you completely abandon things that are contrary to the teachings, the non-Dhammas, but you use the Dhammas as like a raft without attachment to them. But when you get to the other shore, that is when you get enlightenment or arhatship, then even those things, the Dhammas, you don't have any attachment to, but you're still naturally following, but you'll also teach them to others as guidelines for others. Okay, but those are interpretations, not, we should just stick to the Pali. So any questions about this? No questions? Okay, I think we should take our break at this point, because now we come to a sort of a major transition point in the exposition of the sutta. And so we'll save that for next week. And it's 2:15 now. Let's take 8-minute break, 2:16. We'll take 6-minute break. So 2:22 start on the Sutta Nipata section. Okay, we're going to resume now with the Sutta Nipata section of the class. And now we're starting on Sutta number 12 in chapter 1 of the Sutta Nipata. This is called the Muni Sutta. So Muni, I leave it untranslated. Some translate as sage, but it has such a special kind of flavor or nuance that I like to just leave it in the original. And we're picking up on verse number 207. And the first verses in this poem are a bit difficult, using some rather rare words. So let's start. Santavato. Let me just. Santavato by Santavato. Of course, Slokamita. Santavato bhayam jatam.
Santavato bayam jatam.
Niketa jayati rajo.
Niketa jayate rajo.
Aniketam asantavam.
Aniketam asantavam.
Etang vemuni dasanam.
Etam vemunidasanam.
Okay, the background to this first part of the sutta, this is according to the commentary, is a story related in a sutta in the Anguttara Nikaya, Book of Fives, where a mother and her son both went forth to become monastics. The mother became a bhikkhuni, the son became a bhikkhu. And even though they had gone forth, they associated closely, they often met and chatted together until sexual desire arose between them and they had sexual relations. And then this was reported to the Buddha and they had to be expelled. Okay, so that's according to the commentarial explanation of the background to the sutta. So it sounds rather austere, the opening verses. So santavato bayam jatam. So bayang is fear or danger. Jatam has arisen. And then santava means intimacy. And then this is a little puzzling to me. It looks like a double ablative. Maybe the long A is actually the long A is probably for metrical reasons, because santava, I think it's a neuter noun. Yet here it has a long A, and then the to suffix also indicates ablative. It's an ablative termination. In any case, the meaning is clear that danger or fear has arisen through intimacy. And then niketa is an abode, a dwelling place. And then jayate, this is the middle voice form of the verb jayati, to be produced, to be born, to arise. And rajo is dust. So through intimacy, danger has arisen. From an abode, dust is produced. Then aniketam means without an abode. Asantavam, without intimacy. this indeed is Muni Dasanam, the vision or the philosophy, you could say, of the Muni. So the Muni is the kind of silent, solitary sage. He doesn't associate even with other monastics, much less with householders, but lives and wanders alone. And these two words, the Niketung, the Santavang, are describing, they're functioning as adjectives, describing Muni Dasana, the vision or the insight of the sage. So any questions here? Okay, then we move on to the next. Verse 208. Yo jatam uchija naropayeya.
Yo jatamuchicha naropayeya.
Jayantamasa nanupaveche.
Jayantam asa nanupaveche.
Tamahu ekang muninam charantam.
Tamahu ekam muninam charantam.
Adaki so santi padam mahesi.
Adaki so santi padam mahesi.
Okay, so the subject of this first is yo, one who. Then we have jatam, is what has been born, what has been arisen, though it's not specified exactly what, but it's probably the arisen feelings of affection or of intimacy and so on. And uchija, this would be an absolutive based on the verb chindati, which is just a prefix form of chindati, to cut. So uchindati, you could say to cut off. Then this is the absolutive, having cut off what has been born, what has arisen, that feeling of intimacy or affection. Then naropayeya. I think I'm following in my translation the commentary, though it looks. So the way I had it, taking ropayeya with jayanta, one should not, and ropayeya is caused to grow. So I had used foster. One should not foster what is arising. And then this is a bit difficult. Asa na anupaveche. And the commentary gives one explanation for that verb, which modern scholars don't agree with. It takes the verb to be na anupaveseya, which would be one should not cause to settle, cause to become firm or to be established. But I found in this dictionary of Pali, Yeah, she has under anupavechati, gives, presents, supplies, confers upon. In any case, I think I rendered it in a way that had to make sense. So I put, one should not nurture it. One should not foster, that's the rupeya, what is arising. But the asa, what is the asa? And maybe the asa is the object of anupavecheya. One should not give anything to it. I have to admit it's not so clear to me. And my translation by Norman is downstairs. I don't want to run down to get it now. Anyway, you could just go to the next lines, they're easier. Okay, so Tam is him, referring to the Muni, and Ahu is a verb, meaning they call or they say. And the subject isn't specified, so it just has the general sense, like in English, they say this, they say that. So they call, and it's third person plural, they call him a solitary, that's ekam, one who is alone. Muninam, and this is normally muni is a noun of the class ending in the short I. So the normal accusative would be muning. But here to fit the meter, they're treating muni as if it were a noun ending in in. And so they're putting this suffix ung on to make it the accusative. Somewhat like the ending of the present participle, the ung. So they call him a solitary, a sage wandering alone or living alone. And eka means one, but here in the sense of solitary. So they call him a sage wandering or living alone. And then adakiso santi padam mahesi. And here the muni becomes the nominative subject, and he's referred to as mahesi. Mahesi is Maha Rishi in Pali, which I think in Sanskrit it becomes Maharshi. Then when it turns into Pali, it becomes Mahesi. So the great Rishi. So, and so is the pronoun going with Mahesi. So that great Rishi saw, adaki is an aorist from the verb dasati. That great Rishi saw Santi Padam, the state of peace. So any questions here?
Bante, this is Stanley. Could you tell me about the grammatical category for anupavechya? Anupavechya.
Yeah, it's a very unusual form. Let me just take another look in the dictionary. The way it's glosed in the commentaries with optatives, I'll just copy and paste that in. Yeah, I just will take the next.
Bhante, so it's an optative?
Yeah, I'm just looking in the dictionary to see if I could get. She says she has for anupavechati present third person singular. She gives it as present. So it's rather, I have to say, it's a puzzling form. And the commentarial glosses treat it as a, you could see from the endings here, they're treating it as an optative.
Okay.
So it's what, I wonder if, oh, my copy of Norman's translation with his very helpful notes, it's downstairs. Look, maybe we just pass over this now.
Okay. Sure. Sure.
Okay, so anyway, this, and any other questions on this? I'll see if Norman has a helpful note, then I will, when I send the link for this recording, then I will include.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so let's go on then to two. Oh, just I wanted to just continue with this. So it says, this is the way the commentary explains it. So through which condition that might be produced, that one should not establish or settle, one should not bring it samodhanaya. Again, it's an unusual verb. And then the meaning is, the way it's explained, the meaning, thus, by bringing about a deficiency in its supporting conditions, one should not nurture that which is growing, that which is arising. Okay, then we come to 209. Okay. Sankhaya Vatuni Pamaya Bijam.
Sankhaya Vatuni Pamaya Bijam.
Sineham Masa Nanupaveche.
Sineham Asa Nanupaveche.
Save Muni Jati Kayanta Dasi.
Save Muni Jati Kayanta Dasi.
Takam Pahaya Na Upeti Sankam.
Takam Pahaya Na Upeti Sankam.
Okay, so we start off with the word Sankhaya. Sankhaya is an absolutive. I guess it's based on the verb, originally meaning to enumerate or to calculate. And then it takes on an extended meaning of to understand, to comprehend, or to reckon. Yeah, I think the English word reckon is good. because it gives both the sense of to be able to enumerate, like you reckon the figures, and then reckon also has the nuance of figuring it out sort of intellectually. So in this case, and here there's going to be like simile, continuing these underlying metaphors of growing things in a field. So having understood or comprehended Vatuni, the Vatu is a plot of land, presumably in this case, the land where seeds would grow and bring forth plants. And these would be the seeds of attachment and affection, which cause a bondage, which bring continued bondage. So maybe even having surveyed the fields or the grounds, then Pamaya Bijam. Some editions you could see, there were a lot of trouble, the editors figuring out this particular absolutive here. So some, even the Sinhalese edition, has Bahaya, having abandoned, because that's a more familiar word. But the actual absolutive is Pamaya, which comes from a verb paminati, which maybe doesn't occur in the indicative form, but it has the meaning of to crush. Yeah, I have a note on that word in my translation of the Sutta Nipata. So, and then it takes as its object bijang, the seed. So having crushed the seed, then sineham asa nanu paveche. Yeah, so the word sineha, there's a word play here. One meaning of sineha is moisture, which a seed needs to grow. But sineha also has the meaning of affection. And then here we have again that na anupaveche. So one should not, but one should not nurture it with moisture. One should not give to it moisture. So having surveyed the fields, having crushed the seed, one should not, or one does not give moisture to it, to the seed. Then so that Muni truly, the Ve truly indeed is Jati Kai Anta Dasi. So Dasi is one who sees, and Anta is the end, Kaya is the destruction, and Jati is birth. So that Muni truly is a seer of the destruction and end of birth. Then this line is somewhat ambiguous, and I don't know the answer. Takang Bahaya the Upeti Sankang. So it could be taken in one sense that the Muni is one who has abandoned thought or logical thought. He doesn't engage in these logical thinking. And so he doesn't try to figure things out. He doesn't approach reckoning. He doesn't get entangled in conceptual thought. So that's one way to take this line. The other way to take it is that from the standpoint of others, because the Muni is one who has reached the end of births, the end of samsara, when others try to figure the Muni out, they can't do so, because the Muni is beyond the range of thought and doesn't come within the range of reckoning. This is like with the questions that people come to ask the Buddha. Does the Tathagata exist after death? Does he not exist after death? Does he both exist, not exist after death? Is it the case he neither exists nor does not exist after death? And in each case, the Buddha says, not so, not so. And then the Buddha says that the sage, the Tathagata, is freed from reckoning by way of form. Rupa vimutto Tathagato, rupam na upeti sankam, vedana na upeti sankam. That the Tathagata, freed from reckoning by way of form, feeling, perception, volitional activities and consciousness, cannot be conceived by terms, in terms of form, feeling, perception, volitions, or consciousness. So the line is it's ambiguous. Okay, I'm a little afraid to ask any questions here, but I'll ask them. Okay, I'll just read my rendering of the verse in the published translation. Having comprehended the grounds, having crushed the seed, he would not nurture it with moisture, or maybe he would not give moisture to it. Truly that Muni, a seer of the final end of birth, having abandoned thought, cannot be designated, or doesn't approach designation or reckoning. Okay, now we come to verse 210. Anyaya sabani nivesanani.
Anyaya sabani nivesanani.
Anikamayam. Anyat. Anikamayang anyataram pitesam.
Anikamayam. Anikamayam. Anyatarampi te sam.
Save muni vita gedo agido.
Save muni vita gedo agido.
Na yu hati para gato hihoti.
Nayu hati para gato hi hoti.
Okay, so anyaya here is another one of these absolutives based on the verb ajanati, to understand or to know. So having, and then the object, its object is nivesana, which is originally the sense of nivesana is a residence, but then here it has an extended meaning. It's being used metaphorically, probably to mean all the realms of existence in which one could take up residence. And so having known, having understood all places of residence in an ani kamayang. So this is a present participle, a negative present participle, not desiring, not wishing for. It's related, of course, to the noun kama, one of the meanings, desire. So not desiring, anyataram, even a certain one of them, not desiring any one of them. Then that Muni indeed is vita gedo. Vita is gone, free from. Gedo is greed, free from greed. Agido is without greed, so greedless. really the two words are just saying the same thing. Then na ayuhati would mean does not endeavor, does not strive. And the reason he does not strive is because paragato hi hoti, because he has gone beyond. So those who are still on the path have to ayuhati, have to strive. But the sage, the Muni, who has reached the goal, doesn't strive anymore because he's gone beyond. Okay, so having known all residences, not desiring even any one of them, indeed that sage, that Muni, without greed, greedless, does not strive, for he has gone beyond, reached the far shore. So any questions here? Okay, then we take 211. Sababibung sabavidum sumedam.
Sabha bibum sabha vidum sumedam.
Sabesu damesu anupalitam.
Sabesu damesu anupalitam.
Sabanjaham tanha kaye vimutam.
Sabanjaham tanha kaye vimutam.
Tangvapi dira muni vedayanti.
Tamvapi dira muni vedayanti. Vedayanti.
Yeah, I think actually the Sinhala PTS version is better here. Okay, so all of these is describing the Muni with the accusative singular. So sababibum, the word abibu means to overcome, to conquer. So one who has overcome everything, so all obstacles. Sabavidum, the one who knows everything, the knower of all. Sumedam, so this is Meda is intelligence, and Su gives a sense of very. So the very intelligent one, the very wise one. And then Sabesu Damesu, so among all dharmas, among all phenomena, he's Anupalitam. So this is a negation of Upalitam. Oops. And the U is just, the U is lengthened just for metrical reasons. And Upalitam is based on, would be originally lipta, which is based on the verb lipati, which means, or limpati, which means to smear. Excuse me. And passive is to be smeared or to be tainted. And so the Muni is said to be unupalitam, and it just has a prefix upalitam, to be. Excuse me, sorry. So unsmeared or untainted among all dharmas, among all phenomena. Then he is Sabanjahang. And
Sub-
Jahang,
Oh, okay. We
Yeah.
already read
yeah, Jahang comes from Jahati, which means to abandon. Okay, so did we read together this? Yeah, we read it together. So Jahang is a little like suffix coming from Jahati, to renounce, to give up. So one who has given up everything, one who has renounced all. And then Tanha Kaye Vimutam, liberated in the destruction of craving, but probably locative in an instrumental sense, liberated through the destruction of craving. So that one, take the tongue with mooning, and then Dira is the wise ones. Vedayanti, declare him as a muni, as a sage. So the wise ones make him known or announce him or declare that sage, declare that muni. But the way the commentary explains Vedayanti, it glosses it with the word Jananti, they know. So maybe we'll just stay with the commentary here. Okay, so the commentary, the wise ones know that one who has overcome all, who knows all, the very intelligent one, who is untainted among all phenomena, the one who has renounced all, liberated through the destruction of craving, the wise ones know that one as a muni. So any questions here? Okay, if there's no questions, then I think we will stop for the day here. And let's see how many verses we have. Yeah, certainly we'll finish this next time. Then we'll go on to chapter 2 in the Sutta Nipata. Okay, so that should do it for the day. So thank you everybody for joining. And we could end with 3 bows to the Buddha. 1, 2, 3.
Bow to Bante.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you,
Okay.
Bante.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Bante.
Thank you,
Bante.
Bante.
Thank you,
Okay.
Bante.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bante.
Okay, so see you next week.
See you.
Okay.
Bye.
Have a good week.